Alright guys, so welcome to the next video. In the previous video, we are looking at this question, talking about how rating figures for music are no longer accurate and how you can no longer use them compared to before to look at, the general music scene. But now guys, without further ado, we're going to move on to the next question, question 23. So let's read this together. This is according to the Food Standards Agency, film goers should be told how many calories there are in the popcorn, ice cream, and fizz drinks that they buy in the cinemas, and smaller portions of popcorn and drinks should be available. As two-thirds of adults and a third of children are already obese or overweight, with serious risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, the need for proper labeling to warn people about the calorie content of these items is urgent. And then it says, which of the following, if true, most strengthens the argument in the passage above? So, guys, pause the video, just give yourself over a minute. Be sure to be coming back after that, and then we can go over the solutions. All right, guys, welcome back. So let's go through this. This is according to the Food Standards, filmgoers should be told how many calories there are in the popcorn, ice cream, fizz drinks that they buy in cinemas, and smaller portions should be available. So hopefully, guys, you can appreciate that statement over there. You might think it is a strong opinion because it says filmgoers should be told. Remember, this word "should" is a real strong conclusion indicator. But here it is according to the Food Standard Agency, so not according to the person who's writing this, just according to these people. So this is the opinion of someone else, and therefore you can treat this more as a fact. So we can cross this all out. Yep, so let's cross this all out. Okay, whoops, I went a bit too far, but that's fine. And it says, as two-thirds of adults and a third of children are already obese or overweight with serious risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So that part of that sentence is clearly a fact, isn't it, guys? Because remember, it's giving the research says, the study says, or if it gives statistics, as in this case, when it says two-thirds, this is all going to be fact. So we can just carry on and cover this. And it says, the need for proper labeling to warn people about the calorie content of these items is urgent. Now that's his opinion, isn't it? He's not saying according to these people. This is literally what he's trying to say. So the conclusion then of this passage is that proper labeling to warn people about calorie content is urgent. So which one is going to suggest then? Which one's going to strengthen it? Which one's going to suggest that we actually have to start doing this? So it says people are overweight are sometimes more concerned with their looks than the long-term health risks. So this one actually, I think this one actually weaken it because some of the reasons he's given here that why you should do this, he's saying it's because of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Whereas this is saying they don't care about that; they more care about their looks. So this one, if anything, would actually probably weaken it. So it can't be this one. This says a large box of salted popcorn contains as many calories as a three-course meal. I guess this one, in a sense, I guess you kind of have to be extend your thinking out further. Remember, but although in the BMAT you shouldn't be doing this, remember, whatever's on the paper is what you should be answering from. So this one, even if you think outwards, in a way it does strengthen it because it's saying three-course meals obviously have a load of calories, and if it's saying a large box of salted popcorn um, also has as much calories, it's saying this thing would be urgent. But although it's not you see, guys, I'm really having to extend my thinking to get that to strengthen it, and that's really not what we should be doing. But either way, I'll just consider it. But I'm pretty sure we'll find something stronger. Next, cinemas rely on sales of food and drinks to boost their profits. So if anything, guys, kind of irrelevant here, but if anything, this would probably weaken it because this would suggest that we shouldn't do this because it would have negative implications on the cinema economy. So we can cross this one out. The next one, trials show that consumers alter their eating habits when food is calorie labeled. So this one's actually good because he's saying that we need to label them and it's urgent, but he's not showing if it's been proven to be successful. But obviously this now is saying it is successful and it is going to work. So this is really, really good. This is really going to strengthen what the passage here is talking about. I really like this one. So this one is the one I'm selecting so far. Um, the next one, many people think that the food and drink consumed at cinema is as important to the visit as the film. So this one actually, what we would probably this one, if anything, would weaken it because it's saying that food and drink is important for the cinema experience. Therefore, if you start doing this stuff, it might have negative implications on the event, more or less. So that's why I don't like this one. So hopefully, guys, you can appreciate then that D is going to be the correct answer. So remember, guys, you're looking for ones that strengthen it. Probably will be two or three maybe, but then you're looking for one that strengthens it and is also in the context of the passage. So B is not really in the context of the passage, and also with B, you have to extend your thinking. if you ever see yourself extending your thinking, you're probably going along the wrong path. But either way, guys, I hope really that has really made a lot of sense. And as always, really look forward to seeing you in the next video. All right, guys, so welcome back. So previously, looking at this question, question 23, talking about how there should be labeling of food items in cinemas. But hopefully, guys, that question has made a lot of sense and we've able to build and use our previous skills that we've already learnt. Now, guys, we're going to move on to the next question, question 34. So it says, after Northern Europe experienced the coldest weather for several years last winter, people are claiming that the theories of global warming are incorrect. This is not a conclusion that can be drawn from the information as it is only based on a single year's data. Global warming is based on long-term changes in average temperature. It therefore does not mean that the temperature will increase every year. The extreme weather last winter was caused by cold air from the Arctic, which is normally kept there by strong winds around the pole. Last winter, those winds were not as strong. And so which of the following, if true, would most strengthen the above argument? So guys, pause the video, give yourself just over a minute, and be sure to be back after that where we'll be going through the solution. Okay, guys, so welcome back. So let's go through this. After Northern Europe experienced the coldest weather for several years, also people are claiming that the theories of global warming are incorrect. So here he's just stating mere observation. So this we can cross this all out as fact, more or less. Then it says this is not a conclusion that can be drawn from the information as it's only based on a single year's data. That's clearly his opinion, isn't it? And he's basing this is what people think, and however, this is what I think. So this is going to be his opinion, and likelihood is that since the opinion is being given so early, it's going to be of the kind where the opinion's at the start, and the rest of the passage is just blubber, basically, just reasoning of why you should think the same way he is thinking, he or she is thinking. And it says global warming is based on long-term changes in average temperature, so that's just fact. So you can cross this out. And it says is therefore does not mean that the temperature will increase every year. So therefore, again, that's going to be a conclusion indicator. However, that opinion indicator, but however, that sentence isn't really a strong opinion. It's more on the weaker side. That's why it's not really going to break the previous one. So we can just cross this out. Then it says the extreme weather last winter was caused by cold air from the Arctic, which is normally kept there by strong winds around the pole. So he's just given fact there again. And then it's saying last winter, those winds were not as strong. Again, just observation. So basically, from this, guys, hopefully you can appreciate the conclusion is more or less the fact that even though it was really cold in Northern Europe, what does it say, last winter, this doesn't mean that the global warming isn't happening, right? So which one would strengthen the fact that more or less that global warming is still happening despite these cold weather conditions? So some people claim that the theories of global warming do not come from areas that have very cold weather last winter. So this one, yeah, this one's just quite random, isn't it? It doesn't really fit in with anything. That's why I don't really like this one. B, although the weather was very cold last winter before was of average temperature. So this one would actually suggest that global warming is still a thing, isn't it? So that's why it probably would strengthen it to a certain degree. So I'm going to consider that one. It says other regions of the northern hemisphere were hotter last winter than in previous years. Yeah, this one is really good because it's really showing that, okay, this happened in Northern Europe. However, if this was an actual thing, it should be happening everywhere. But now this is saying no, in fact, in Northern Europe, no, in the Northern Hemisphere in general, it was actually hotter, saying that in that year, global warming was still happening. And this is really why I like C better than B, because C is based on the present, whereas B is based on the past, right? So C, I think, is going to win so far. Then it says all the people claiming that theories of global warming come from areas that had very cold weather last winter. Again, kind of irrelevant, kind of random. So that's why I don't like this. So it says the claims that the theories of global warming are supported. The claims that the theories of global warming are incorrect are supported by further evidence. So that would actually weaken the argument, isn't it? So the claims that theories, yeah. So that would say that there is legitimate evidence to suggest that global warming actually isn't a thing. So that would actually weaken what he's trying to say. So that's why I don't like this one. So hopefully, guys, you can appreciate then. Again, as you can see here, guys, you're going to get more or less one or two or three, sorry, statements which normally strengthen or weaken. You have to select which one most strengthens it. And in this case, I think that's going to be C because it's talking about the present, whereas B is more talking about the past. But either way, guys, hopefully that has made a lot of sense. And as always, we look forward to seeing you in the next video. All right, guys, so welcome back. So previously you were looking at this question suggesting that is global warming a thing, is it not a thing? And the author thinking that global warming is still a thing and you can't use previous year's data to make a suggestion that it's not happening. But hopefully, guys, that question has made a lot of sense. Now, guys, we're going to move on to question 36. So let's read this together. This says hundreds of miles of motorway are lit by unnecessary street lights. There's a need to save energy usage in all public services, and it's time that the government considered turning off street lighting. Modern cars have powerful headlights which provide a clear view of the road ahead, even without overhead lighting. There is also evidence to suggest that when drivers move from an area with lighting to an area without, they are more likely to have an accident than those drivers who have driven exclusively on roads without lighting. And so, which of the following, if true, would most strengthen the above argument? So, guys, pause the video, give yourself just over a minute. Be sure to be back after that, and then we can go through the solutions. All right, guys, so welcome back. So let's go through this. Hundreds of miles of motorway are lit by unnecessary um, street lighting. So you might think this is a fact, but you might think this is an opinion. Probably the latter parts of the statement is probably more of an opinion. He's saying these streetlights are unnecessary. So this part I think is more of an opinion, whereas this part is probably going to be more of a fact, right? Then it says there's a need to save energy use in all public services, and it's time that the government consider turning off street lighting. So that is very bold, and that's really commanding of the government. You should do this, isn't it? So this is really good. So he's saying more or less you should turn off the street. So again, opinion, quite a strong opinion at the start, actually a really strong opinion at the start, because he's really demanding someone to do something. So the rest is probably just going to be padded off by evidence and reason. And then it's saying modern cars have powerful headlights which provide a clear view of the road ahead even without overhead lighting. It's clearly just fact. Rule this out as fact. Then it says there's also evidence to suggest that when drivers move from an area with lighting to an area without, they are more likely to have an accident than those drivers who have driven exclusively on roads without lighting. So yeah, evidence. That word evidence really is depictive of the fact that this whole sentence is probably all going to be a fact. So you can just cross that out. So basically, the statement he's trying to say here is that nighttime lighting is more or less unnecessary, and we need to find something which strengthens that argument. So, A, there's evidence that there are fewer daytime accidents. There's evidence that there are fewer accidents on these motorways, daytime accidents without lighting. Yeah, so let's see what it's saying here. Turning off street lighting. So it says there's evidence that there are fewer daytime accidents on those motorways without lighting. I guess that one would strengthen it to a certain degree. Yeah, so we can consider this one. Next one, driving in well-lit areas at night can lead to a lack of concentration. Yeah, I really like this one. Um, and I'm just trying to drift and what it's just going over what it's trying to say. Evidence suggests that when drivers move from an area of okay, so yeah, that one, driving in well-lit areas at night can lead to a lack of concentration. So this one is also good. I'm going to consider this one. We can come back to what we're going to select from A and B later on. And then let's go to C. Research suggests that all drivers find driving without lighting more difficult. So that would suggest that lighting should be there, and that would actually weaken the statement. So this one definitely can't be that. Many drivers find driving on unlit roads difficult, so that would suggest that lighting is necessary. Therefore, that would weaken the argument. Street lighting costs less than other types of road maintenance. So it's kind of irrelevant because here's more talking about safety. And also, if street lighting costs less, it would suggest that maybe you just put street lights there. It's not really going to cost you much, right? So this one, if anything, would weaken it. So now it's basically between um, A and A and B. There's evidence that there are fewer accidents on those motorways without lighting. So yeah, if there's fewer accidents without lighting, that will suggest that yes, switch off the lights. Driving in well-lit areas at night can lead to a lack of concentration. Yeah, the reason I'm probably going to select B rather than A, because I think this passage is more talking about the nighttime scene rather than the daytime scene. Because I think here it says when drivers move from an area with lighting to an area without, they are more likely to have an accident than those driven exclusively on light without lighting. So I think this is A more at the nighttime scene. That's why I'm going to select B, and that's why I think it's stronger than A. But if you disagree, guys, or if you had any confusions, just pop a comment down below. But other than that, guys, I really hope that has made sense. And as always, really look forward to seeing you in the next video.